everyone, Blaze here, welcome to the May anime pickups for 2017. I have a nice pile of stuff here, so let's go through it. It's in a bit of a random order, it's just in the order as I put all this stuff here, so... first up we've got Tales of Phantasia, the animation. This is a early 2000s, I think, OVA, like mid-2000s, 2003, 2004 or something. OVA based on Namco Bandai's Tales of series, and this one's based on the first Tales of game, I believe, Tales of Phantasia. It's a 4-episode OVA put out by Geneon with an English dub and sub. It does have a Blu-ray in Japan, but it's only an upscale since this was a digital show, so yeah, this could come out on Blu-ray at some point down the line, but it's only going to be an upscale. So I've been wanting to track down this DVD for a while, but it's quite expensive and hard to find. So when it popped up on eBay here in the UK for a reasonable price, sort of reasonable, it was still about 20 quid. I decided to pounce on it because it's just something I've always kind of wanted to own and see. I do really like the Tales games, at least a few that I have played. And yeah, I'd like to watch this. I haven't ever played the Super Nintendo version of Tales of Phantasia. I don't believe Tales of Phantasia Super Nintendo ever came out officially in English. I know there's like a fan translation, so yeah, I'm pretty sure this never came out in English on the Super Nintendo. It did come out on the Game Boy Advance, but that was like a really bad port from what I've heard. But yeah, I've never really played it. Like, I've seen footage of it, but I've never played it. But yeah, I assume this covers the story of the game. So yeah, Tales of Phantasia. That's pretty cool. Next up is something that I wasn't sure I was going to buy, honestly, even when I saw it really cheap. Earlier this year, I decided to get into Detective Conan, or Case Closed. I've always had a curiosity in the show, but the problem with the TV series is that it's episodic, and it's like 800 episodes plus. Like, it's started like 2 years or 3 years even before One Piece did. Like, it's been going for a very, very long time on a weekly basis, and yeah, the whole thing is like basically just mystery of the week sort of thing. Like, there's no real arcs to it. There is like a continuous storyline to some degree. Like, there is continuity from the beginning of the series to where it is now in terms of characters and stuff, but for the most part it's just mystery of the week stuff. So I decided I didn't really want to jump into the TV series because of how long it is, so I decided to go for the movies. So I've been watching a lot of the movies. I've seen 9 of the 20 movies I think so far, and Funimation actually put out the first 6 movies in English on DVD. Most of them are easy to find, but the first 2 are really expensive, and even this release I have here was pretty expensive, but I was able to pick it up second hand, and it was so cheap I decided, you know what, I'm going to pick this up, and then maybe I'll get the rest of the movies as well since they're still cheap. And that is Case Closed double feature. This is for the first 2 films, The Time-Bombed Skyscraper and The 14th Target. I say I've seen both of these. I did watch them both in English. And yeah, Time-Bombed Skyscraper I saw about a year ago, in the summer of last year, around this time last year in fact. And yeah, I wasn't exactly blown away by it. I thought it was okay, not really much more than that. When I finally decided to jump back into watching the rest of the movies, I got really into it, and I did really like The 14th Target. Again, nothing overly amazing, but I thought it was really good, solid fun, and I started to really enjoy the characters and stuff. So yeah, this is a really hard to get release, as I've said, like both the original releases and the double feature I'm holding here. So I was fortunate enough to be able to pick this up, and as I say, Funimation have put out movie 3, 4, 5 and 6 on DVD. One of the other reasons I was sort of not sure if I wanted to get this, because yeah, I can't pick up all the movies because Funimation only put out 6. The main reason I think was that I was thinking maybe down the line Discotek might actually get into the Detective Conan movies like they've done with the Lupin TV specials. It seems like something that if they... I think it's something they would at least try out, because all these movies are available on Blu-ray in Japan. So yeah, you could see them re-releasing them on Blu-ray like they've been doing with the Lupin Funimation TV specials things, and yeah, including the Funimation dub and all that. So that was another reason I didn't necessarily think maybe I won't get into the DVDs. But yeah, able to pick this up for only $7.99, I think it was, and the rest of the movies will cost no more than $7.99 each as well. So yeah, decided to pick these up. I'll pick this up and hopefully get the rest down the line later on. But yeah, case closed, double feature. Next up is a old US manga core, I think. Yeah, US manga core OVA. Something that, I don't know, I remember watching a trailer for a long time ago and it seemed like it might be a bit of fun. It was pretty cheap. I think it cost me less than a $5. It's a comedy, and that is Labyrinth of Flames. There's like 2 covers for this. One's blue and one's red, but yeah, they're both the same release on the disc. So yeah, Labyrinth of Flames. It's like a 2-episode OVA, I think, from the mid-90s, and yeah, it's basically a reverse harem sort of deal. But I didn't look ecchi from the trailer. I'm pretty sure it's not an ecchi OVA. It did look kind of funny. So yeah, this guy basically just wants to be a samurai and stuff, and he just gets involved in all these crazy hijinks with all these slightly weird ladies and characters. And yeah, I don't know, it seemed okay. So I know, I decided to go for it. So Labyrinth of Flames on DVD from US Manga, another cheap OVA that I really shouldn't buy because they take up so much space. This one's an overdue pickup. It's also an overdue watch because I really need to watch this, because I did watch the first episode when it arrived and I really did like it. It's a giant robot series from the 80s, done by Sunrise, that was released by Discotek on sub-only DVD. It's the complete series of Giant Gorg, and I love the cover they chose for this. It looks amazing. I love artwork like this on covers, like when they use like watercolor, like painted artwork and stuff. It just looks incredible. So yeah, Giant Gorg. It's like a 26 episode series, I think. Yeah, 600 minutes. And like supposedly, at least from the first episode that I saw, it seems to be like this mysterious island that doesn't seem to be known by many people, and might be like some huge like world government underground cover-up thing. And I assume when they eventually get there, there's like a robot, like a giant robot thing. It's sort of the first episode was really funny, like funny, action packed, cool. When I've seen like the opening for this anime, I always assumed it just took place on some like, you know, Star Wars type, you know, galaxy far, far away sort of thing. It didn't seem like it was going to take place on Earth, which the show apparently does take place on Earth. Now I don't know if it stays on Earth, or if when they get to this island they end up going through some portal that takes them somewhere else, because it still seems sort of otherworldly, all the artwork and stuff. It doesn't seem to have a basis on Earth, basically, not really, at least not a vision of modern day Earth, which is when this anime was made. It seemed like it was taking place in the modern day, because like I said, the first episode takes place in Brooklyn, New York. So yeah, it's an interesting series, at least from the first episode, and I look forward to eventually getting through the rest of it. So yeah, Giant Gorg. Slipcover is the same as the artwork underneath, so no change there. Spine looks all blown out. Hopefully it's better in the video. And yeah, got some nice disc art as well. It's on 4 discs, so I think is it 4? Yeah, 4 discs. So it's about, I can't even bother to do the maths. It's about 6 or 7 episodes per disc or something, which isn't too bad. So yeah, Giant Gorg. Okay, next up is a show that I've always had this weird curiosity with. When I first started really getting into anime and buying anime at alarming rates, even more so than now, it feels like, when I was like collecting volumes, releases of shows and stuff, and just finding out a lot of what actually was released back in the day. One show always seemed to excuse me, catch my eye as something that was just weird. It seemed like even more out of place than some of the weird OVAs that have been picked up. It's just like, this doesn't seem like the sort of show that would get picked up. It's like a Super Sentai show, pretty much. about, you know, characters with like superpowers and superpowered suits and things like Power Rangers style. And yeah, it came out in like 2001. It's got like the weirdest name, and it was put out by Geneon and Pioneer, dubbed entirely in English, and yeah, released over 3 volumes, and that is the Daichis Earth Defense Family. So we've got volume 1 here, volume 2, and volume 3. I'm so happy to pick this up because, yeah, as I say, always had a curiosity in this show, and a little while ago, let's see if I can put these back in the right order actually, there we go. A little while ago, a couple of months ago I guess, so I think back in April or something, I decided to watch this show online because I really wasn't sure whether I was ever going to like the show. I'd always had that curiosity with it, and also, even though volume 1 was quite cheap to get a hold of, in fact I have a duplicate copy of volume 1 which I can't find, because when I was trying to collect the show I picked up volume 1 very cheap and then hoped to get the others cheaper later. Eventually got a complete collection, but anyway, so yeah, while volume 1 was cheap, volumes 2 and 3 certainly were not, especially volume 2. Volume 2 seemed really hard to find, but yeah, so I eventually decided to watch it online to see what it was like, and I really fell in love with it. This is one of the smartest shows, one of the funniest shows, one of the biggest hidden gems I've ever seen. Like, when I think of shows that barely anyone talks about, barely anyone has seen, that I have and really thought were amazing, one of those was Kurogane Communication. I know a couple of you out there have taken up my advice on trying that show out, and it's great that it seemed like, at least I know for a fact that Dynamic Dylan really enjoyed Kurogane Communication. It's a fantastic show. Another show that is really, like I said, hidden gem is Daichi's Earth Defense Family. So basically you've got this completely dysfunctional family introduced to you in episode 1. Like, pretty much one of the first lines of the show is the mother over the breakfast table asking the father for a divorce. Like, they just don't get on, the family's falling apart. You know, the little boy is a complete nightmare, but he seems to, you know, he's like disruption everywhere. The teenage girl is always on like the verge of a mental breakdown. The mother feels like she's being held back by this family, especially her husband, and she's like an aspiring businesswoman. And the father is just this like overweight, fat otaku who would much rather be playing his MMO than doing anything else. He works at a toy company, and he's just pretty unsuccessful. And yeah, it's just like this complete dysfunctional family, and all of a sudden they get this fax that says, from like this alien being essentially, that says, you are, like, Earth is going to end today, and you are the chosen in order to save it. We're going to provide you with these things to save it, basically these suits. And yeah, at first they don't believe it, they just like completely ignore it, apart from the father, obviously with his like MMO video game playing otaku nature, decides that he'll hold on to it just in case. And it obviously eventually rings true, the Earth seems to be doomed, and the Daichis, which is the name of the family, suddenly have to all come together and try to basically save the Earth. And it's like this constant thing throughout the show, as like new giant monsters start attacking the city, and all these other weird pop culture references as well throughout the series. And what is so great about it is this show has its heart and soul in the right place, because it's all about them having to come together as this dysfunctional family to save the world, and just how that mends relationships between them, but also, and I don't know if I really want to go into this too much, but it also might not necessarily mend their relationships together, you know what I mean? Like, that's where I think this show is really clever, because it could have just been, okay, I mean, it would still been a great show, like this idea that they come together to save the world, and as such come together as a family, and that's kind of that is what happens kind of throughout the show. And I'm not majorly spoiling anything, so don't worry, but like, it's just the theme of the show. And but the fact that there's no, this is sort of a spoiler I guess, there's like no major conclusion to that arc of the story. The fact you don't really know if they're ever going to pull through, I think is what makes this show really outstanding, frankly, because it could be so easy to have the happy ending. Like, you have an ending, and you have like some sort of arc for all the characters and stuff that they go through and their self-discovery and all this sort of stuff. But the fact that it isn't tied with a bow and you don't see like a happy family portrait at the end, it's really clever that way, because they mend their relationships, but are they still a family, or are they just people that know they have to stick together in order to save the world in the end? And that's really the bottom line to it. It goes through so much stuff like that and so many like family dynamics, and it is incredibly intelligent and one of the best shows out there, and one of the most highly underrated shows out there. It's hilarious, and one of the cool things about this show is that it was made in 2001. It is one of the last cell animated shows ever made. Like, obviously Noir is known as the last, but yeah, this is mostly not digital. For some reason, episode 11 is entirely digital, although there's like 2 versions of episode 11. But the one that aired in the TV run of the show is digital, and the rest of the show isn't. And it's weird because even though episode 11 from the TV run does have like some slightly experimental stuff going on, it could have still been done on cell. It might have been too expensive maybe for their vision. There's some really interesting animation at play in episode 11, but yeah, I highly recommend this show. Unfortunately, like I said, it's really hard to track down as a complete collection. I just went on eBay. I had a saved listing on eBay, search, basically a saved search, and eventually after about a month of clicking it every day, a complete collection came up for a really reasonable price, for about $30-40 or something, which is way up my alley because I fucking love this show and I wanted to own it. So, yeah, but like I say, it's a bit hard to find these days, so I know not all of you are willing to do this, but please, if you are, go and check this show out on any number of places that you know where online. It's totally worth it. This show is fantastic. So yeah, let's quickly show the insides, I guess. And like I said, I hope I haven't spoiled too much. It's kind of I just really want people to see this show because it's absolutely fantastic. I did a review on my anime list, one of the reviews I'm more proud of than some of my other ones, which aren't that great. But the one I did for this I think is pretty decent. Not like journalistic decent, but it's decent for what I can produce. So yeah, I'll leave a link for that in the description. It's on my anime profile, my anime list profile as well. But yeah, the Daichis Earth Defense Family is an anime that you have to watch at some point, and hopefully Discotek or someone will pick this up and rescue it. Discotek, Right Stuff, I don't know. Someone needs to rescue this show. I don't know how feasible that is. Like, it was probably a hard sell back in 2001. I don't know if it'd be an even harder sell now, but this show is top quality and people should see it. Honestly, just reminiscing about the show just made me think maybe I should have just bumped that all the way up to 10 out of 10, because I've currently given it a 9 out of 10. But yeah, that show is magnificent. So anyway, try and retrack my mind or whatever. So Gatchaman the OVA I picked up last month. Obviously it's on the Gatchaman collection Blu-ray, as I showed in that video as well, but yeah, I picked up the Urban Vision DVD OVA. One of the last things I needed for the, I guess, original Gatchaman, I don't know actually, because the Gatchaman 2 and Gatchaman F Fighter are both part of the original canon as well. Whatever, I picked up Gatchaman the Movie on Blu-ray, is basically where I'm trying to get here. So yeah, Gatchaman the Movie on Blu-ray, I was able to pick up really cheap. A lot of the places I've been trying to pick this up for a while have had this at like 20 and between 15 and 20 pounds. It was just way more than I ideally wanted to pay for it, so I was totally willing to go second hand, and glad I did. Eventually I was able to get this for like 6 or 7 quid, which is far more reasonable. Yeah, I don't know a lot about this movie other than the fact that it's really cool that Sentai dubbed this. They dubbed it with the original cast, I presume, and I initially thought that maybe it's just a re-edit of like some of the episodes from the TV series, and they just, you know, did some fancy editing and used the audio from the TV series. But I still don't know if that's 100% not the case. But or is the case, or whatever. I don't know if that... basically what I'm trying to say is... my mind flips all over the place. Yeah, basically a few people... Once I brought that up, a few people told me, no, this is completely original stuff, like original animation, original everything. Like, the story might be somewhat similar to some of the stuff in the TV series, but the actual animation and presentation of the whole thing is original and new. Yeah, it's in 4:3, so it's not a widescreen movie. I don't know... I mean, it probably was a widescreen movie in the cinema. I don't know if this is one of those ones where they've just, like, kept... You know, they didn't use the cutting or whatever. They just kept the whole full screen image. But, yeah, anyway, whatever. Gatchaman the movie. I don't really have much to say about it. I'll show the inside again, because I opened it. Yeah, let's move on. That takes me... I just need Gatchaman 2, Gatchaman Fighter on DVD from Sentai, and Gatchaman Crowd's Insight, which is the second season of that. And then I'll have all of Gatchaman, and then I need to watch all of Gatchaman, because I've done very little of that so far. Okay, next up is something that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. About a month ago, a whole year ago, bit of a difference, a whole year ago at Otakon 2017, or just under a year I guess, at Otakon 2016, God's sake, my brain's all over the place at the moment. Otakon 2016, Discotek had a panel, which they're having this year as well, which is awesome, so yeah, confirmed you'll get that video. I hope they announce some cool stuff. I hope they announce some cool stuff as cool as this, because last year they announced, and it's finally come out, and I picked it up immediately, obviously, is Arcadia of My Youth on Blu-ray. So this is the 1982 Toei animated film, part of the Daichis. It basically tells a origin story of Harlock, and an origin, or an explanation basically, of the Harlock legacy, and the Arcadia ship, and like the logbook, and all this sort of stuff. Like, it's all explained here. The first meeting, or the initial meeting between Harlock and Tochiro. I always forget which one it is, Tetsuro or Tochiro. I always get those two mixed up because their names are too similar. The main character from Gainax Express and the main character from here. But yeah, and their destined friendship to last throughout the ages and stuff is all in here, and it's all really, really cool. So yeah, and this looks incredible on Blu-ray. I've been wanting to get it on Blu-ray for ages. I'd seen the Japanese Blu-ray rip with English subtitles in the past. And yeah, I was super happy to get a hold of this from Discotek. So yeah, this is a good addition as well, because it contains the Space Vengeance Pirate, isn't it? Or comment? Vengeance of the Space Pirate English dub, which is actually how I watched this when I got it, because I'd seen it in Japanese before. So I was like, well, let's watch the English dub. Like, I don't know how many times I'm ever going to do this, so let's watch it. The English dub is of Hong Kong origin. It's done by a company that basically no one really knows who they were as such, or the name of the company, but yeah, that's where the dub originated from. I got this from the commentary track, which we'll talk about in a minute, that information. But yeah, the dub is interesting, I guess. It has... what is it? It's like... some interesting choices for some of the characters. I actually think the dub is okay. For the most part, like, I'd say about 80% of it, perfectly listenable, perfectly fine. Like, the audio quality of it's not that great, that's why it's only included as a special feature, because yeah, it's a mono track, and it's not a particularly, it's not a very nice one, it doesn't sound overly great, but, because it's just, a very, very old dub from a Hong Kong, so yeah, most people didn't even think, I didn't even know it existed, frankly, so I'd say though, like 80% of the performances are actually pretty good, way better than you'd expect from a dub from Hong Kong. The main problem is that, according to Mike Tor in his commentary track, the guy who basically ran the company, the recording studio company, whatever, that made the dub, decided that he wanted to play the main character, Captain Harlock here. And he is by far the worst actor. By far. Like, his voice is the least suitable, and he gives off the most monotone performance of all of them. Like, it's really bad. And it's a shame, because like I said, pretty much everybody else is okay. Like, for the most part, everyone else is okay. But yeah, Harlock is not okay. Harlock is terrible. So, yeah. Anyway, I enjoyed rewatching the film again, even with the English dub, and I also really enjoyed the video quality of the whole thing. It looks amazing. And so I watched it, and after about a couple of hours break, I decided to pop the disc in again and rewatch the film with the commentary, which I also really loved. I was looking forward to the commentary perhaps more than anything else, honestly, because I'd seen the movie a couple of times before already, and yes, it's great to have it in HD, but I'd also already seen it in HD before, as I said, on a Japanese Blu-ray rip I found online and stuff. So yeah, for me the most interesting thing in this package was the commentary track from Mike Toole, because I really love his commentaries, and I was really looking forward to having one based on something that I hold very dear to my heart, the Ladyverse. The commentary is fantastic. It does only really concentrate on Harlock, and it explains a ton of stuff to do with this movie and the origins of Harlock, and just explaining further Harlock stuff that came out prior and in the future, and the impact that this movie had in Japan at the time and on the Ladyverse in general. It's a really good commentary track. I highly recommend giving it a listen if you have this release and have not done so. It's fantastic. But yeah, it didn't really go that deep into any of the other Ladyverse stuff, which I was initially disappointed about, but I'm hoping that with the recent announcement of something else that's Ladyverse related that's coming to Blu-ray now, that hopefully Mike Toole might get a chance to do a commentary track on one of those releases as well. So we can hear some stuff about, some of the other Ladyverse titles. I don't know why I'm keeping it a secret. Most of you already know what it is. I want to talk about it in the Discotek update video I'll do in a couple of weeks. So, anyway. So we got Arcadia of My Youth on Blu-ray. Is there anything else here that's... So you got the feature commentary, production art, theatrical trailer. Oh yeah, it does... so the film's presented in widescreen, which I think is for the first time, because I still have the Animego DVD here, and it doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure this is only in 4:3, I think. Yeah, it doesn't say, but I think it is. Wait a minute, it does say. No, it doesn't. Whatever. But yeah, so this is presented in widescreen, and then it also contains the movie in 4:3, albeit in standard def, which is slightly unfortunate, but I assume that's the only materials they had available to them. So anyway, yeah, Arcadia of My Youth comes on the slipcover, and then underneath we've got some different artwork, which is always welcome. This is fantastic. This was designed by Brady Hartel, I think his name is, or Ashero on Twitter, and he does amazing work, and this is another one that's just outstanding. And it comes with the reversible cover is the same as the slipcover, and it comes with the Arcadia logbook thing as a chapter guide, which is really nice. It has a really beautiful artwork of Mimi and Harlock there. It's awesome. Actually, I don't think that is Mimi. I think that's one of the other characters, whose name I've forgotten. The main love interest of Harlock. So really awesome movie. Highly recommended. I can't put... The only problem with Discotek slipcovers, I find them hard to get them back on, especially from underneath. It seems to always go better from the top. Anyway, whatever. Arcadia of My Youth. Man, it's getting dark. Just a second, I'm going to go and turn the light on. Okay, hopefully that's better. So, next up we've got another Sentai Filmworks release that I got very, very cheap, and that is the first collection of Akame ga Kill on Blu-ray. It's one of those shows I've heard a lot about, but people... I don't know, I've heard a lot about this show. I'm not too sure about it, but I decided to pick it up anyway. Like a gory, horror, supernatural fighting series, like shonen-y sort of thing. Like I said, I've heard people rant and rave about this show, but I've also heard people rant and rave about it in a negative way as well as positive. So this is only collection 1. Obviously I'm hoping to pick up collection 2 relatively cheap sooner rather than later, and I hope it's a good show. I'm not sure. Hopefully. I didn't get the collector's edition because I just don't really... I don't know, like Sentai Filmworks collector's editions, especially the ones they've been doing recently, are amazing, but some of the more earlier ones weren't always that great, and I don't want them for everything, so I'm quite happy to pick up the standard edition. Okay, next up, we've got a Nozomi Entertainment Blu-ray release I was really happy to see, because I've been wanting to see this show for a long time. It's supposed to be a fantastic series, and I wasn't sure if it was ever going to come out on Blu-ray. I sort of was... One of the reasons I put off buying it was the hope that it might eventually come to Blu-ray, so I was ecstatic when it was announced. Like I say, it's an Aniplex series in the past, but yeah, released by Nozomi Entertainment on DVD and now on Blu-ray. The complete collection of Sound of the Sky, which I can't remember if this is a Noitomina show. Might not be. I actually don't remember. But yeah, it just seemed like a really interesting show about music and friends being brought together by music, and it's set in like a weird... I don't think it's like a real military. I might be wrong. But yeah, set in the military. It just seemed like a really interesting show, and one that is incredibly highly rated. So yeah, Sound of the Sky on Blu-ray, the complete collection. Yeah, I got this on pre-order. It was pretty cheap actually. Can't remember exactly how much it was, but it was certainly less than £25, I think, somewhere around there. So yeah, really good deal for. And yeah, if you want the show on Blu-ray, I'd pick this up sooner rather than later, because it's an Aniplex series. You never know when their Right Stuff's license on this show might end, and maybe Aniplex will end up making this release go out of print and eventually putting out their own expensive version. You never know. So I pick that up if you really want it. Here's something I've had on pre-order for about a year, I think. It feels like. It's a UK release done by Anime Limited, and they just kept putting this off over and over and over again. It just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. It's a 2-episode OVA from about 2007, I think. I'm pretty sure it's like a romance one, but it's got this super interesting art style, and done by Production IG, and it's called Tokyo Marble Chocolate, and this is the nice chipboard case it comes in. It looks incredible. Just get closer up there. So yeah, you get like the Tokyo Tower here. It just looks incredible. A really, really, really interesting looking OVA. I don't know how long it is. Like, it might be only about an hour long or something for both episodes combined. I don't know. It's on Blu-ray and DVD. Blu-ray DVD. And yeah, not out in America. So yeah, currently exclusive to the UK. But yeah, it looks very, very cool. It comes with a big guidebook, lots of information, character designs, and the like. And yeah, just something that just super interested me when I first saw the trailer for it. And yeah, I've always kind of wanted to watch it. I had it on my computer for at least a couple of years, fan subbed, before Anime Limited actually announced that they were going to be putting it out. I'd never got around to watching it then, so yeah, once that announcement came through, I'd say I'll wait. And yeah, finally this did come out. Once I had it on pre-order for a very long time. I actually might watch this later tonight. I've been meaning to. Like I said, I don't think it's very long, and I've been wanting to watch it for at least 4 years at this point, so I really should, because it probably won't take very long at all. We'll actually save that till last. So next up is one that I bought this because it was cheap. I want this. I just don't know if I necessarily wanted this version as such, because it's been released on Blu-ray before. It's part of a 2-pack, 3-pack, 2-pack, I can't remember. It's had a couple of different releases on Blu-ray before. A little while ago, Made in Japan suddenly picked it up. They've been doing some slightly weird releases recently, and this one seemed weird on its own that they didn't get the other movie. Anyway, and that is Gunbuster, the movie. So yeah, this is a Gainax film that is basically somewhat a re-edit of the OVA series, which I still haven't watched, really need to. And yeah, this is like the movie version, which sort of, like I said, sort of re-edits it. I think it's got some new animation in it as well, and yeah. So the ultimate saga of love, destiny, and the tears. Oh, and the stars. I don't know why it's dark. I couldn't quite read it. Special features comes with Japanese commentary, which is kind of cool. Staff and cast interviews and some trailers. But yeah, this looks really amazing on Blu-ray. I will probably watch the OVA first so I can get like a more thorough, coherent version of the story before jumping into the movie. But yeah. So let's say this has been released before by Bandai Visual a couple of times, I think. Or it came in a box set with like Die Buster and maybe something else. I can't remember. Like Gunbuster versus Die Buster or something weird. And yeah, and it's also been released on its own by Bandai Visual. But yeah, this is the re-release by Made in Japan. I picked this version up because it was cheap. I was able to pick it up cheap. I saw it around going for a very cheap price, and it was way cheaper even than the relatively still cheap, I think, Bandai Visual release. So yeah, picked up the Made in Japan version, hoping they'll get Die Buster as well at some point as to complete the set. Although, as I don't really know too much about the Gunbuster stuff, but I know that Die Buster's not looked upon as fondly as this. I think Die Buster came much, much later. Anyway, whatever. The final thing is something to complete a collection. I had this on pre-order the second it went up, since I have the rest of the show. It did come with a slipcover. I put it into storage because it didn't fit in the art box. But if I just pull it out here, I got the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, the movie, which is a movie I remember people losing their shit over. Like, Haruhi was incredibly popular back in the day, and I remember this movie being insanely popular. Like, people just loved this film. I'm looking forward to eventually watching it. I'm planning to, hopefully at some point in my life, finally watch through the 28 episode run of Haruhi Suzumiya. I'm currently at the next episode I need to watch is basically the Endless 8, so I've kind of stalled on that. Yeah, that's kind of what's happened. I need to get through it because I want to watch the rest of the Haruhi stuff, because with this release from Funimation, The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya Ultimate Edition is now complete, so it's no longer a filler box, the whole thing's completed. So we've got Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya TV series original run plus the second season stuff, the movie, the chibi stuff, and the Disappearance of Nagato Yuki-chan as a complete set. So yep, that is a really long pickups video because I talked about Daichi and other stuff for way too long. That's the pickups video for May. So yeah, that's been everything I picked up for May. June and July is going to be a bit more quiet. I'm going to be combining them together because I had one major pickup really. Actually, it's not true. I did have like a couple of other ones around the edges, but I had like one major pickup in June and July that cost quite a lot of money. So that's pretty much the only thing I picked up, and yeah, you'll be seeing that in the next video. And then I'll be all caught up. So actually, since I'm combining June and July, I should be able to catch up. And then I'll eventually obviously fall behind again, so yeah, whatever. So yeah, thanks for watching, I'm Blaze, and I'll see you next time.